Sing ready or not. Hey. Is waiting for you. That's me. Sing ready or not. This love is waiting for you.
Got that vibe a little bit,
right?
Hey.
Hey, all right.
About to cut a rug.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Blvdave TV. I am your host, Old Man Logan.
Hey.
It's the kid, Gas Station Pete. King B.
Alrighty, and we have a lovely guest in here tonight. All right, well today, but whatever. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I am Sunshine Wiley.
Alrighty, Sunshine. Welcome to Blvdave TV.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so this is going to be more of a conversation. We don't really got questions drawn out and everything like everybody else. So, but the normal thing that I normally start our conversations and interviews off with is, who is, and I want to ask right now, who is Sunshine Wiley?
My. Well, it's a lot to it, so I'll give you the brief version.
Okay.
Sunshine Wiley is a creative in a nutshell. I write, I sing, I do voiceover work, I do commercial work, stand-in work, all that stuff. But then I'm also a nerd at the same time, which is amazing. I have a degree in biological sciences with a minor in chemistry. I've done research in photovoltaic, renewable energies. I've done a whole lot of stuff. So I like being a nerd, and then I also like being a creative. I like the duality of both. So that's me in a nutshell. And I'm also a podcaster. So
Yeah.
there we go.
You got a lot on your table there.
I do.
Make sure y'all checking out the Sunshine State.
Absolutely.
Very dope cast.
Hey, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can catch me at www.sunshinestate.com. That's sunshine with an O, state.com.
There you
Cool.
go. There you go. See, she got that plug just
Right. Ready.
Always.
Alrighty. So now that that's out of here, fellas, y'all go ahead. Let's have at it. You know what I mean? Have this discussion, conversation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, I just heard your song. Sounds lovely. I heard it in the counterway here. What got you into singing?
Oh, that is funny. I actually have been singing since I was a kid. Well, not really like as far as me wanting to sing. Like most of me singing was me singing in the house, and I guess I didn't sound that great. So my mom was like, shut that noise up.
Right.
So I didn't actually sing in front of people until I got like really to college.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really into singing like that younger. I mean, I did the choir, when it was required. Right. And then when I got to college, I went to FAMU, and so I got a part of the FAMU gospel choir, and I didn't really sing any solos until I got to church. And then I think my first solo, I was probably 26 the first time I sang a solo.
Wow.
So it took a long time for, and that's probably telling my age. It's been a while. But it took a long time for me to actually feel comfortable with my voice because I don't sound like a lot of the other people out here. It's something to get adjusted to, and really coming into yourself and understanding who you are. So music for me was like a bit of a stretch, but it was a long time coming as well, because I love writing music.
Right.
I love singing. I love listening to music. I breathe and I see and I hear music all the time. So, yeah.
Well, you sound great. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's dope work. So you're into music. You podcast. Excuse me. You're into all types of nerd activities, as you would say. What's your favorite thing to do out of everything that you do?
Favorite? Well, in this season, I would say my favorite is the podcasting, because it is a personal mission. The Sunshine State is geared toward emotional health, healing, and wellness, and it comes out of a personal need. I started the podcast because I was in a place where initially my podcast was going to be like a voiceover situation, to where it was going to be like the dramatic, what do you call those? Where people act them out, but it's like on the radio dramas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be like that, but it was going to be like a horror geared radio drama. Okay. It was going to be called, whatever, The Haunt. And it'll still be called The Haunt whenever I actually do it. But, it was pretty cool thing.
You would have had two fans here if you
Definitely.
did it.
Dopeness.
I love horror.
Me
fans,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I made sure I went to go see Halloween last night.
I thought we were all going to see Halloween. You left me?
Well,
all of
I was going to see it on Halloween.
I've been trying to make him.
He's trying to convince me, and I said no.
So I said no. I'm like, I'm there. So I went to see it yesterday.
Yeah, we're always on different pages here.
Yeah,
I see.
But we bring it together.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the start of the podcast, The Sunshine State, and right now that's the favorite thing for me to do because it is a personal mission.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so let's unpack it a little bit. What's some of the initial podcasts that gave you the desire and the interest to say, hey, let me try my hand at this, you know what I mean, and see if I can do it, and not necessarily mimic their success, whoever that may have been, but just said, yeah, let me test the waters.
You want me to be honest about that?
Absolutely.
You know what the first podcast that I've ever heard in my life was?
What's that?
The Chauvinist Pigs podcast.
Really?
That was
Laying
the
down groundwork.
So, just so you know, I was not very experienced in the whole podcast situation before I got into it. Somebody told me about it, and I started researching on what it was, and I've read about podcasts, and I've saw all their different themes, and people would talk about it online and stuff like that. I even did a course on lynda.com on learning how to podcast and proper interview styles, blah blah blah, all that good stuff, and that's how it got started. I've never heard a podcast before yours.
Wow.
And I actually had already recorded my first one by the time I heard yours.
All right, so let me unpack it a little bit for the guys. So we met Sunshine. I was with Ron and I was with Andrew. We was at a podcast event up north a couple months ago, and I was there late. I got there late. It was the event was basically over by the time I got there. It was literally maybe 15 minutes late left. So the way they did it is, okay, once it was over, they said, so everybody just go around and talk and introduce yourselves and network, you know what I mean? Because it was a networking event at its core. So Sunshine was like on the other side. We had a couple of people that just kind of gravitated towards us, I guess, because we were standing there, and I was asking Ron and Drew to like give me a recap, because like I said, I was late. I got there with maybe 15 minutes late. Everything was done. So we had a couple people come over. Sunshine comes over, and basically it's like small talk. And I'll be honest, I'm like the cat. Okay, you know how in school they try to make you work with somebody? Like they're like, oh, okay, you guys got to pair up. You got to go and find somebody that's, and work on this project. And I just be like, oh, God, I hate this. But, people were coming, so what's your show about? You know what I mean? And we get to tell them about Chauvinist Pigs. And the name, like, everybody, eyes light up when we tell them the name. So it was like, okay, Sunshine comes over there. She waits to say her piece. And we just kind of just clicked. So from there, everybody was like, so who runs the business? Of course they look at me. So I get everybody's number. And Sunshine, long story short, was like the only person that we really kept in contact with. Some people we added on Instagram and stuff, but we kept in contact. We had her on the show a couple times. And it was great energy, fun times. So fast forward, that's how we get here to having her on Blvdave TV.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Since you're a lady of many talents, what would be one thing that you want to really dive into of all the things you get into?
Writing.
Music or?
Without a doubt, writing musically.
Okay.
I want to do more commercial and film writing.
Okay.
Like I don't see myself as being an artist. I don't see myself as being an artist. I just don't. I don't see myself as going towards that. I wouldn't mind a feature here or there, but me being like a primary artist, like trying to be Monica Brant, no.
Right.
I'm not interested in that. Right. I would be so much more interested in being in the background, singing the background vocals, but being responsible for the song that they're singing.
Okay. Making sure it's a hit and stuff like that.
Either that or more so like commercial and TV and film and jingles and things like that. Like it's easy for me to come up with something, off the spot or whatever. So that's, I think.
Usually the background singers are like the doper vocalists to me.
Oh, yeah, a lot of times they are.
Yeah, like
not all the time, but a lot of times they are.
I know specifically with Anthony Hamilton, like the Hamiltones, they don't.
Oh, yeah.
Like with Luther when he buck around singing for Sting.
And he did?
Yeah, he back around was singing for Sting.
And Darwin Hobbs came from Luther.
Yeah, and then see where it's at now. So yeah.
All right, so I want to dive in. My questions are mainly going to be podcast questions, but I do have a music question here. Have you ever, I know you said you don't really have the desire to be in the forefront musically, but is there ever an itch, maybe to see if you, let me see if I can do this? If you, you never have that kind of feel?
I have been asked by 4 different people to put an EP out this year, and I'm always like, okay, well, I'll do it, and I don't. So I feel like if it was something that, because I have the opportunity to do it, I've had the opportunity to do it, and I have some great people that I would work with and that would love to work with me, and make sure that I do a good job. So, I mean, I feel like eventually I will do it, but I don't feel like it's something that I have to do or I'll just die.
All right, because me personally, I need at least 6 songs.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm going to
Put something out.
do it. I'm gonna do it.
Just because that song right there, once I finally got to hear it, because it took a little while to find it on iTunes, but once I finally found it, I was just like, yo, like.
Yeah, you have a nice.
It's
voice.
a very strong presence in the song, and like you said, it's more so background, but your presence is felt on that song. You're featured on it, and it's just like, all right, I see why she's on this song and in the space she's in. You know, you did the bridge, you were on the hook, I think, and then your presence is just felt in it. You know what I mean?
Ad-libs
so I just was wondering, like, yo, like, you know, I know it might not be at the top of the docket as far as priorities, but
it'll happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen. It will happen.
So we'll be ready for it.
Yeah.
And
more so nerves is gonna keep me from doing it for a little while. But once I get over myself, then I'll be able to do it.
Because like you just said, you're creative, so naturally you're writing already. You have everything at your disposal. So it's essentially just a matter of you just saying, all right, let me do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Cool.
You're gonna rap on it though, right?
I haven't rapped in about 10 years.
It's nothing but a muscle.
No, it ain't been 10
years. It ain't nothing but a muscle. You just rap.
We've been in the studio. It hasn't been 10 years.
That wasn't 10 years ago?
Nah.
Give us something smooth. Something smooth, Tim. You got it.
I mean, it depends on the song. It depends on the topic. You know what I mean? And
Tim, give us a hot 16. Put him on the spot. Drop a beat.
No hot 16. But I mean, you know, if I was able to catch the vibe, you know, we can make it a bop. Yeah.
Make it a bop. I like it.
Okay.
You just got to get your who supplies you with your beats, or do you want me to make?
Well, I've had production from this gentleman next to you before.
See, I didn't know that. So tell me your background in music. Now, see, I don't know anything about you all musically.
I'm retired.
That's not enough. That's not enough. I need a little more.
I'm like,
so let me turn it around. What?
Phil, go ahead.
Who are you?
Have you seen Atlanta?
I have.
I'm like Paperboy.
Okay.
I want to be in the game, but the game really ain't for me right now. Oh, right. But I'm still, like Halloween, I'm thinking about dropping the Fields gas station mixtape.
Gotcha.
So, and I'm more of a...
Now, I am open to doing hooks, though.
Okay, because
than open to that.
I do have songs that I need a woman to sing on for my album that I want to make, which is going to be called Big Chance Feel. But I'm more of a... we was talking about earlier, I kind of want to get into... But I need the producers for it to get into my Travis Scott and Drake and stuff like that. Because I like singing as well. I'm not a great singer. I'm a good harmonizer.
Right.
So I kind of want to get into that. Give me a little auto-tune,
If you're actually serious and actually... Because I know a lot of people, but I have the person who would actually be good as far as working with you on that.
Oh, trust me. I'm very serious.
Producer.
I just got to find that right space. I got a guy who does beats, but... We got to find those beats for me to get into that realm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you. What is your musical background?
I started off rapping in grade school.
Okay.
About 7th, 8th grade, tried to take it serious. Tried to click up with some people in high school. Didn't really work out. They weren't really liking my material. So basically, they were like, you know what? You could make beats for us. So he gave me Fruity Loops program.
Oh, nice.
And I just went wild with it. So I'm still using it to this day.
Nice.
Not really on the market, so to speak, of giving my material out. I just do it for fun now.
Gotcha.
But that's what it is.
But he was saying that he would want you to supply him.
I mean,
so that means you're obviously good if he's willing to have you supply him.
We've worked together before, but
And B he sent me a song that was pretty good. He don't want to put it out. I'm not gonna put it out there, but I'm just letting them know it's good.
I specifically told Phil.
I wasn't gonna play it, but I just want people to know that you're good, B.
Told Phil, hey. Don't tell anybody about this.
I'm telling him I got to do. B's good.
He just told 3.
I'm not gonna tell her. I'm not gonna play the song.
He ain't gonna tell
He
nobody
just told the world.
He not gonna tell nobody else.
B is very talented with production, and he does the camera work. You know what I mean. He's a great editor. I personally felt like, I don't know if you guys remember, but you remember the guy that was doing like all the Chief Keef videos, D Gaines or something like that. Was that his name? I personally felt like B could have been that way too if his thing is like, if it's trash, I don't want to.
He don't want to mess with it. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But I felt like he's good enough behind the camera, behind the lens, to where that could have been something pretty lucrative for him had he got past that part. Because we just had to call a spade a spade. It's a lot of trash artists in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Very much.
But and he had his reservations about it, whatever have you. But he did some camera work for an artist I used to work with. We'll remember him, Nico Gray. That's still out on YouTube, so he's good with that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
It's just about, his presentation.
Yeah, if he can be a Diddy too.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be behind it, like, I want to be behind it fully.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to just do it for the check.
Yeah.
Right.
You sound like the person that I was gonna recommend to him.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. He is definitely very bothered by the whackness
Yeah.
that's in the industry. He still does it because he got to get that check.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's very much so bothered by the whackness, especially in hip hop.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot
of that. And that's the problem with just music and just, it's too much access to everything now. Like back in the day before, like when I was trying to rap, and what turned me off about it personally was the politics of it all. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you're a trash artist, but you have this person and that person behind you that can link you with a record company or a well-known producer, et cetera, then your chances of getting on are way better than mine. I might be sitting here talented, and I might have content that's worth giving a listen, but if I don't have those options,
if you don't have that back end,
what happened to back in the day when you used to get discovered in the mall?
Like, the internet happened.
Let me tell you something. I think I could have got made. I mean, I said made. Discovered. I met Prodigy. And what was the name of that store? It was in a plaza. I forgot. Whatever the name was.
Yeah, DTLR.
No, a long time ago in the plaza. It was downstairs next to Sam Goody. I forgot the name, but anyway,
I forgot the landscape of the plaza. So
I met him, and my guy was like, rap for Prodigy, and I never did, because he could have got me on. I don't know, but if I had that chance, I could have did it. Then,
but you don't like New York rap. You like West Coast.
No, I like New York rap. I just like West Coast more. I love West Coast more, but I love New York too, and I like Prodigy a lot at that time. So I'm hate that I didn't say nothing to him and rap making anything. So. When you got that chance, you need to let it go.
Yeah. So that means you got that gentleman rap, like just in the tone. No,
I'm trying to say what you mean.
Let me say the tone.
No, I didn't understand what it was.
Because you see how like kind of like Snoop and like a lot of the other ones out there, they're very vulgar in what they say. Yeah. But the tone is still like real vibe.
Okay, yeah, I'm like that. Yeah,
real gentleman like swag.
Yeah, that's like me. Yeah,
I call that a conversational flow.
That's a way better description.
It's like you're having a conversation.
Because I was struggling to find my description, but that was way better.
All right, so let's get into the music a little bit more. What were some of your influences? Like, I know you said you didn't start till later on, but you did start in the church. So, did you have a specific church choir artist, or just not outside of music? I mean, outside of gospel, rather. Was there an artist that you were like kind of mimicking, or that you really felt was a contribution as far as being an inspiration for you?
You know what's funny? I actually didn't start off in the church. My first musical love was Mariah Carey. Vision of Love, Mariah Carey. Not what we got right now. Vision of Love, Mariah Carey. Because I didn't actually start going to church until I was in junior high school. Like, we just didn't go. So that was... But then when I got to the church, I guess, of course, Kim Morrell, people like her, Darwin Hobbs and Terrellyn Ramsey, and, the people with the different voices, because people always get mad at me, but I don't really care for Fred Hammond, and people hate me for that. But I feel like he sing the same song every time. Like, the slow songs all sound the same. And the fast songs all sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, there are two different flows because one is fast and one is slow.
Right.
But it's still basically the same, what do you call it? Formula to the song.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, okay, next.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were my influences. Then when I actually started singing, well, I love Daryl Coley as well. That guy has a really eclectic and beautiful voice, and yeah, like they didn't celebrate him enough in his death for me. But yeah, him. I also like Layla Hathaway. People like Raul Madon. People don't really know about Raul Madon, but they should. I like Rochelle Farrell. Yeah, I like writers. Like people who can really write. Like Quincy Jones is like, with his crazy self. He's like super dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What about current artists?
Current. It's a little harder. I like the way her writes. I like her lyricism. I do. I definitely like her voice. Some of the songs are a bit monotone, but for the most part, I like, and that's not a criticism, but like I like music that goes somewhere. I don't like for my song to stay in the same place the whole
same
time.
space.
Right. So I like her for the most part. Her flow. I like, who else do I like? This guy named Christian Grey. He's dope. And there's some other people, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
You are familiar with John McReynolds?
Jonathan McReynolds? The gospel artist? Yeah, he's dope. Yeah, my friend Randy sings background for him.
Cool. I actually met him one night in the studio. One of my homies was doing a recording session, and he came in, just stopped by casually.
Yeah. His background vocalist, Grandy, she's actually one of the people who used to be a part of our band when we did like the gospel fest, or she sang with us when we did the gospel fest, the Second Nature band. That was actually like the first time I really was singing gospel, like for real, in Chicago. Yeah, I sang with Stan Stubbs, did background for Pastor McGee and Pastor somebody else, I don't remember, but but those were some, like I got here and like 3 months later I was recording stuff. Like I was on live recordings. Like I got to Chicago maybe 7.5 years ago, and I hit the ground running. I was like, okay, I moved from Florida. I'm here. Let's make it happen.
Cool. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit. You said Layla Hathaway and her. What would be your favorite Layla Hathaway song, and what would be your favorite her song? I know she's a current artist, so I just kind of want to go favorite artist and current favorite artist, I guess. So.
I think my favorite Layla Hathaway song is a cover she did of her dad's song. I think it's what is the name of that song? I can't think of it. I like that, but then I also like her cover of Angel. I also like her song that she came up with, the recent song. I don't know the name of the song. This is so bad. Like, I learned so much music.
That's how I am.
Like, I don't know the name of anything. I know how it sounds. I don't.
Okay.
It's really bad. But yeah, I like that one. And then as far as her, the song that I'm really vibing with right now is a song called As I Am. And I really like it mostly because of the lyricism. She's definitely blowing in the song. But lyrically, she is saying something to the extent of like, you'd be a fool not to take me as I am. Because it's like, I'm the best, I am. I keep feeling like, yes, I am. I'm the best I am. You'd be a fool not to take me as I am. And I'm like, that's dope.
Yeah, that song is.
Because it's like me. Why would you take me like this? Have you met me?
A song that resonates with you is kind of what pulls you to the music, if you will.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I had a selfish reason about the Layla thing because one of my favorite songs from Layla is that Then and Now song.
Oh yes.
And I just love that song, and it's just like it's a great song, like the way it's structured and like you said, lyrically, it's just it's like you on a ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just trying to take a journey with her on that song.
Yeah. Like, I went to a Layla Hathaway concert when she was at the House of Blues earlier in the year. And it was super dope. Like, everybody there was just, like, so into it. Like, there was not a person who wasn't focused on her. Like, she commanded that stage.
Right.
And she commanded the attention of everybody there. It was, like, a really great experience. And I actually got to meet her after it was over. I took a few pictures with her.
Nice.
A couple friends of mine, David and Tamiko, they actually know her. And one of my other friends, Veronica, she was actually, like, all three of them were in there. And Veronica was like, oh, you coming with me? We finna go in here and talk to Layla. I was like, okay, we sure are gonna go talk to Layla. I was actually with two other people. I was like gonna try to get them to come with me, but they were at the bathroom, and I'm like, you're not here, so I'll see y'all in a minute.
Right.
So I went up there and talked to her, and she talked about, and it was very inspirational. She talked about how she feels the voice of God is relayed in music. And it was like, man, you know, you think about stuff like that because, you know, God is in everything that we do and everything that we are, all that good stuff. But for her to say that, you know, relaying the voice of God through music is kind of how she can touch people and how she's able to really relate to people in a way that's more common and not quite so superficial.
Right.
It makes sense that she has that type of an impact because she's trying to make music that's going to actually touch people, not just something to make you snap your fingers.
Right.
So.
Nice.
Cool. I wanted to go back a little bit on the podcasting part.
Okay.
Now you saying about the hunt you wanted to create. Is this? I don't know if you ever heard Lorenz Tate's Bronzeville. I think he has this kind of like a voiceover story thing going on.
I've heard of it. I just have not heard it.
Is that what you're going for with that?
Similar.
Okay, and can anyway me and Tim be a part of it?
Voices
in it?
No, seriously, I actually do need people, and that's the reason why I didn't do it. That's the reason why I decided to do a solo cast instead of that, because I would need a lot of people to be involved in it, because the story or the series is based in slave times, and the basic theme of it, and it's not your normal thing, but the basic theme of it is there was this one slave girl and who turned into a woman or whatever, who by all the stuff that happens ended up dying, and then she comes back to haunt the family, and the family is related to the people who are responsible for her murder.
Right.
And so she ends up doing things and possessing people, other slaves, to do her bidding.
Wow.
And so it's pretty creative situation, and I very excited to get it out there, but that's all I can tell you, because that would be the story if I told you more.
I'm down to be on The Voice, so if you need us, I will.
Yeah. And y'all in their cyberland, if I see somebody with something remotely similar to that, I know y'all stole my story.
Right.
What about presenting that in a book format too, though? You ever thought about that?
Oh yeah. I've already written a transcript of how it should be, so it can be adapted to either way.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's already written. I just needed people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We got some people here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
definitely
good to know.
got us.
Okay, all the hands in the building. Okay. I like it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and that's where I really live. Like, I like writing anything. Like, music is cool and not cool, amazing, and I love writing music, but that's not the limit to where I am.
Right.
Like, I also write, like when I did my voiceover audition for voice acting, I wrote my audition. I wrote the commercials, like all 6 of the commercials. I wrote them, and they were like, "Oh, these commercials are awesome. Where'd you get your scripts from?" My head.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, have you ever thought about being a scriptwriter?" I was like, "I wouldn't mind it."
So writing, can you say you were a good liar as a kid?
Yes.
That's how I feel. Because I can make up a story like that. Because a kid, I lied a lot. So yeah.
And honestly, a lot of times
That's
I
terrible.
wasn't.
No, it's not. You're a kid.
Why are you being judgmental? You gotta let.
And look how you looking at
You have to let him
We
express
were
his
kids. You
feelings.
gotta lie as a kid.
But he lied. That's not true.
His truth is that he's letting you know that
truth
was
is
what
that
his
he
issue
lied.
was. Exactly.
Hey, I had to get out of trouble. So I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times my not truthness was as a result of me trying not to hurt people's feelings, which is also not a good thing either.
Right.
Because when you're trying to, like, oh, do I look fat? Does this look bad? Oh,
Right.
you look You got a really expressive look today. That's an amazingly expressive look today. You should be happy about yourself today.
Wow.
Lies.
Yeah, see, I can't do that.
Sweetie, you got a hole in your shirt. And I don't understand how you didn't see that hole in your shirt. But I'm going to tell you, it's okay. You're expressive today. Girl, express yourself. It's the worst.
I'm going to tell you what I like first, but then I'm going to give you the real spill.
Yeah.
Especially like in music, like that's exactly how I have to do it.
But that's what music needs.
Yeah.
Music has enough people telling people, oh, you're amazing. You're the best. You're doing a great job. It needs people to be honest with them. Now, there's a difference, between being nasty and being honest. There are some people that I can say that I've personally experienced it, but I've also seen other people do far worse things to other people. Like I've seen people in different arenas like tearing people down for like, how they're performing, the notes they're hitting. I don't always sing everything right, not at all. And it's been done to me too, but people will be sitting there who you're thinking about hiring for a gig talking about, oh man, she messed that note up, or he scratched, or he cracked, or oh my God, did you hear him? What are you doing? And it's like, gee, if you feel like this person could improve in any way, if you actually care about that person, take them to the side after and say, let me help you.
Right.
So I understand your where you're coming from, and I think that it's a good thing that you have that desire to actually help people to improve and to do better by telling them the truth. But just make sure it doesn't turn into that.
Yeah, if it's ever like somebody that I know when they ask my opinion, you gotta get my opinion.
Yeah, and they need it.
That's true.
I've learned that truth may not be comfortable all the time, but you need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, you don't hate the person or you don't want to be friends, but you just being a good friend by, hey, this is the truth. You need to hear it.
Yep.
And that's kind of why I strayed away from music, because the people that I was dealing with, they were yes men. Everything was good.
Yeah.
How was this? Oh, that's dope. Oh yeah, that's dope too. That's not dope, bro. And I can't be here. I can't be a part of this if everything is going to be dope.
Right.
So I just stopped, dealing with people.
You can't get better like that either.
Yeah.
Right.
You need that constructive criticism.
Yeah, and I feel like the strength in the band that I have right now, or the band that I'm a part of right now, the Second Nature Band, I believe that the strength that we have is as a result of us all being honest with each other. Like, of course we have a person who is the leader of the band, D.O. Bradford, but we all have that freedom to be able to express, like, when we feel uncomfortable or we're not sure of something, or when, maybe we got offended by something, because it's a lot of people. There are going to be offenses sometimes.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. When you have 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, we actually have a band, I think, of 12 people, it's going to be some differences of opinion. It's going to happen. But when you have the atmosphere of being able to discuss those things, get mad, and then come back and love each other and get past it, that's what makes it a family, and that's what makes it work. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we have here. Like, I've definitely voiced some opinions in the group chat with, me and Tim, we bounce back and forth with, our views of how things should go. We put them out there, we come to an agreement, and, we move forward.
And that's healthy.
And it's a better way of leadership. I don't believe in being a tyrant, you know what I mean? But I do believe in having, having authority and listening as well. Like, say, for instance, we had a conversation in our group chat one day. I didn't really agree with how B said it. Like, he was like, oh, I'm just hired help. No, bro, you're not. I look at y'all as more than hired help, because you're helping me bring this vision to life. Like, I've done so much with this one that I wasn't able to do on Chauvinist Pigs, that I really appreciate the effort that both of them put forward on a weekly basis. So if we have an idea, and we have a difference in opinion, okay, cool. We'll try it your way, we'll try it my way. We're going to find some common ground in the meantime, and we're going to make it work.
Right.
And we'll revisit it. Hey, that worked, so we're going to continue, you know what I'm saying, with your idea. Or that worked, so we're going to continue with my idea. It's an even playing ground. I create it? Yeah, I've had Blvdave for over 10 years. People don't know that. The actual blog. The show is something new, but the actual whole name and all that, it's nothing new. So do I have that title? Absolutely. But when it comes to presenting this, it's the three of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? And anybody that wants to be affiliated with it, like I said in the group with Will, when Will became affiliated with, I said he has to earn that trust with me that they've earned with me. I got 23 episodes with these guys. So now I can, if they want to voice something, absolutely voice it.
Right.
And he'll have that same, right once he to put that work in.
Right.
You know what I mean? I told him the other day, like, I have things I want you to do. I haven't spoke on it yet, but I got to make sure we on the same page, and I got to make sure this is something you really want to get into. Because a lot of people get into podcasting, they get into putting themselves into the public eye, if you will, and think it's an overnight success thing. This thing isn't easy.
No.
It isn't easy. It's not going to be one of those things where you're going to just make some money. I'm going to put this out and Charlamagne going to shout me out and, Joe Budden going to have us on the show next week. It doesn't work. It takes time. And you have to be a patient person. Yeah. You have to be dedicated. And you have to know what you want out of it. So I say all that because I want to bring it back to you. You are our guest here.
No, but this is good though, because it's good to hear how you think. I mean, like, we talk from time to time, and we are able to bounce ideas and thoughts and things like this off of each other all the time. But it's good to be able to continue hearing that, because sometimes it can get frustrating. Sometimes it can get hard because I'm a solo caster. So everything that y'all doing as a group, I do by myself.
Right.
So it's like, trying to balance recording it, not mixing it, that's music. Editing, there we go. Editing and, putting the theme music on the beginning and the end, and making sure that everything is sound. I don't have too many coughs in there. I don't have too many ums and uhs, and because I'm particular about it. But going in and doing all of that kind of stuff, it takes a lot. And then having to go manage my subscription emails, going to have to manage my social media, going to have to manage my website, all of that stuff is just like, sometimes I want a break.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and that was a big thing for me when I approached them about the show, because when we did Chauvinist Pigs, I always had a plan to do my own show, but I was committed solely to Chauvinist Pigs. It just got to a point where it was like, yo, what are y'all doing this for? Like, where do you guys see this? It might be different from what I see and what I'm willing to do versus what you guys are willing to do. So it was somewhat of a discourse there, but once I just basically made my mind up and I said, all right, well, their vision and my vision aren't coinciding with one another. So let me go out here, branch out, and do my own thing. It was initially going to be the Old Man Logan show. And I said, you know what, let me revisit. And I said, Blvdave. I can't ask somebody to be a host of the Old Man Logan show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's Old Man Logan. And so you're expecting to hear one person.
Right.
So revisit. I got the blog, Blvdave.
Right.
And P wanted to be a part of Chauvinist Pigs, but it was already 4 of us.
Yeah.
So it was like we can't really add another person. There's 5 people now. You know what I mean? It's a big booth. You know what I mean, Paul? Yeah. So, I hit B up. Because B had came on Chauvinist Pigs before. As Phil was on there, and I said, yo, let me, y'all interested? Y'all down?
Phil was on there one time when I was on there.
Yeah. And from there we built this thing, and our camaraderie has come from that. Our first time recording was the first time all 3 of us was in the same room together.
Oh, wow.
And it was just kind of like in sync. Like,
wow.
We decided, hey, you're going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Okay, cool. And it just hit like that. And that is special to me. Like, that don't happen often.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean? Because you normally have some type of conflict. People might have disagreements or whatever. It probably wouldn't have meshed well. But we, thankfully, didn't have that issue.
Right. Like, I always thank Tim for, bringing me on to this with B, and then now Will. It's been great. It's been a great 23 episodes and a great friendship growing with these guys. So
yeah, absolutely.
I really like it. And thank you, Ron, for being a friend of mine and introducing me to the show as this pig. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a great opportunity. I know Tim had actually asked me prior on the Chauvinist Pigs to come and be a part of that and help them with the visual part of the show. And I was kind of hesitant because I was doing my own thing, trying to get my thing off the ground. I was like, I don't know if I want to balance 2. Then it comes, at the time he asked me to do Boulevard Ave, mine had just stopped. It was done. Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll just help him with this, see where that goes. And the day we recorded, like you said, that was the first time I actually met Phil.
Yeah.
And it was, magical.
But that's why it's good to have a good core team. Like I say this all the time. Like, making sure you understand the people who are supposed to be in your inner circle is primary.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of people who I've met, who I know, who I associate with, but there are only a few people who are actually in my inner circle.
Yeah.
Because I understand that for me, there are certain things that I need and that will help me to operate best.
Right.
And those people, they need to get that for themselves, and I need to get it for myself. And if we're together, we can enhance that for each other.
Right.
But if me and a person are coming together and we're constantly butting heads and we're not helping each other, there's no need for us to be in each other's inner circle.
Yeah.
We don't have to completely just like disassociate from each other, but like we don't have to be super close. We don't have to be buddies. We can
Right.
just be associates. We can
Right.
be cool.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with just being cool with somebody.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Yeah, 100%.
but I like that, and it's funny because I did the Women in Wine episode,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun.
And
You
I
like
definitely
that
was
one?
getting ready to ask you.
I've commented on it. I don't know if you saw it, but
I saw it. I responded to you.
I haven't been back on SoundCloud.
See,
so.
look at God. So I responded to you. But with that episode, it was fun to be able to be around people who got good hearts and good spirits and just gonna have that right flavor, you know what I'm saying, to mix together. Right. And like we have a really good bond as a result of that, you know. And of course, my future Women in Wine episodes may or may not include them, because I don't know if I want to add other people to it or if I just want it to be that core group. I don't know. But I definitely feel like that was a perfect fit for that opportunity. But we can go to your question because I would like to talk about that.
I don't even remember what it was.
I do. I remember it. You were saying that you like the podcast. You don't necessarily agree with the part about women being protected, but you feel like the conversation should be had.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll let you start with that.
I don't remember what exactly was said by the women, but you know, there were multiple statements made that said, "Oh yeah, I don't think men protect us like we should be protected. I have to, you know, do things on my own. I'm scared to go out at night." And I don't think that's necessarily true.
Okay.
Per se.
What's not true?
That women aren't protected or women aren't valued. Black women.
Okay.
Aren't valued.
Okay.
Or protected.
So let me set the stage from where we were coming from with that. Where they were saying is that as a whole, en masse, black women are not the group that's lifted up primarily above others. The women that you see celebrated more than any other are the white women. And that's just from society. That's not because black men have failed, but that's just because that's the media right now. And at the core of it, that's just what it is. So going past what you see in the media to what's actually in our communities, a lot of times the way women are treated or have been treated in music as well as in media have been like as sex objects as opposed to your equal or your partner or your counterpart or something like that. And I'm not saying that, you know, we got to be anything you can do, I can do better. No, no, it have to be that. It's just like, I value you, the black man. I want you to value me, the black woman. Right. Now, that's what we were saying at the core of it. And I know what person said what you said. And it was a bit, and she has some personal experiences
I'm sure
are turning toward her having the level of distrust that she has for black men, because there are black men in her circle that have taken advantage of hers in ways that she should not have ever had to experience.
True.
And there are black men in her circle that have not protected her, and they should have. So for her specific experience is true. For your experience, it might not be true because you might be one of the anomalies that we have. There are men, like I was saying on the podcast, there are men that exist that have our back and that'll snatch wigs for us or whatever you want to call it this today. I don't know. But, you know, they'll go to bat for us. And, you know, there are those men that exist. But on the flip side, there are also those who will stand by and watch. And I've had both hands. I've had the men that will sit by and be like, oh, no, you're not going to do that to her. And some of those men I didn't know. Like, they were trying to protect. I was on a train one time, and this dude, I don't know what happened. It was this dude, I think he was on drugs or something like that. But he came rushing on the train or whatever and knocked me over. And so I was trying to get up or whatever. And the dude who was sitting on the train, one of the dudes didn't say nothing. He was just looking. Then the other dude was like, an older gentleman, was like, you didn't just see yourself knock her down? You know, I'm going to say, excuse me, help her up or nothing?
Right.
And then so he helped me up and was like, are you okay? And stuff like that. And so that's an example. Like, you have something that's, some people, they're not going to do nothing. They're going to sit there and watch.
Right.
And then some people are going to help.
Right.
And you might be the one that's going to help. But you have to acknowledge that there are the men that are not.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of them that are not going to help.
That is true. I've witnessed it as well.
Yeah.
By being in, I was KFC. I was actually in line ordering some food. My partner was sitting down, and I overheard the guy, and some guy coming in. He comes in fresh every day, asking for change.
Right.
So the other coworker, she was saying something like, "I don't think he's homeless," and all this. So a guy in the back just came out disrespectful and said, "What you know about him? You don't know who's homeless." And we just went off, and my partner spoke up for her. Wait a minute, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And then I can see the other man that was sitting there didn't say nothing. Of course, I would have said something, but I was in line. But he was, the other man just sitting there, and he spoke up for her. You know, don't come at her for that.
Yeah.
This dude do come here every day begging for change and got the freshest clothes on. So it was like, I can see what you mean by that. Yeah,
Right,
you have some that do stay back.
It's even on that video where I think the police officer was yanking the lady on the video, and I think the black man across the street with the camera was like, "That's a female. Why are you touching her like that?"
Right.
And I was like, the thing is that, like, the respect and the protection level that we once had, like, because it was prevalent when I was younger. Like, that's like, because I'm from California, and so, like, the way I grew up like with men like being the protectors.
Right.
I grew up with men being the ones who gonna be like, they'll disrespect you in their songs all day, but they not finna touch you, whatever. Yeah. They're like, "Hey man, that's a female." That's the statement. It's always like, "That's a female. Don't do that."
Right.
Yeah. But like nowadays, people don't care.
Yeah,
They don't care.
That is true.
I think the problem though is that we don't always hear the acknowledgement of the men that do it though, and that's where the issue becomes because you hear a woman put it out there that oh, men don't do this or do that anymore. But like you said, that's an isolated event. This is the man in your life.
Yeah.
So these are the people you're gravitating to.
Correct.
You have to, you're internalizing it.
Right.
You can say the men I've dealt with or been around don't do this, but ultimately you can't just categorize all of us and just put it out there like it's like everybody.
Because dealing in absolutes is dangerous anyway. Absolutes is dangerous anyway. You can't say anything is absolutely one way or absolutely another way. There are always exceptions, and there are always things that operate outside of your absolute.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to say anything does anything.
Right.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
love the episode, by the way.
Thank you. If y'all haven't listened to it, listen to it.
Let's unpack the reason why you started your podcast and like explain that to the people.
Okay. Well, initially, of course, I was going to do the haunt, but then some things started happening in my life where I ended up losing my job. My best friend died. I lost my boyfriend. All of it happened in the same month. And then some other things started happening, and it was just a whole lot going on at the same time. So I was like, well, let me put this podcast idea on pause because there's a whole lot of crap going on, and I don't know how to handle it. And it got so bad, like, I would come home. I actually started doing some other work for, like, singing and sessions and voiceover and stuff like that. So I was still able to make a little bit of money in the interim. Right. And so I would come home from whatever I was doing, and I would just be in the bed all day. I would probably eat when I felt like it, eat whatever, you know what I'm saying, and then just be in the bed all day and all night until I had to go out and do whatever else again. I was in a very, very bad position, and my daughter was seeing things like this. It actually got to the point one day where I found myself in a bathtub fully clothed with all the little prescription medicines that I had accumulated over the years, because I don't always take all of my medicines, and so it's always a lot of it left because I feel like once I feel better, I can stop, which is
Right.
probably not the best thing, but whatever. So I had all the medicine bottles, and I was prepared to take every last one of them so I could just not experience any more pain because I was tired. I was tired of people hurting me. I was tired of situations hurting me. I was tired of not being able to handle my finances. I was tired of not being able to just handle life.
Right.
And so I found myself in a situation about to commit suicide, and I stopped myself because I was like, wait. You are thinking so much about you that you are not realizing the role that you have played in every last situation that you've had in your life. First of all, you got a daughter that's 6 years old that you're about to take a mother away from. How fair is that?
Right.
Like, you know that would probably ruin her entire life.
Right.
Why? So I got up, and I cried for a long time. And then I got up out of the bathtub, and I went to search for, all these things online. How do I make myself happy, or how do I make myself feel whole, or how do I make myself this, that, or how do I become a better person? And I had to finally acknowledge that although I was looking for solutions to the problem, I was looking for the wrong solutions. The first thing I needed to do was to acknowledge that I needed to forgive myself. And once I started looking and doing those things, and I was like, I can't be the only person who's going through this. I can't be the only one who's feeling this way.
Right.
So in conversations that I was having with my friends, I was like, I'm not the only person. So that's where I decided that, maybe I'll do a podcast that kind of journals this journey. So that's where it kind of came from. And honestly, it's been helpful for me and for a lot of other people, too.
And I like that, like how your story is, that we have these podcasts, that people can, maybe going through the same situation, can hear this. That's why I wish, it's always a way that everybody can find everybody, because some podcast, some person out there is going through the same thing. And it's good that you're able to tell your story and let people know. So, yeah, that's a great thing that you do that.
Yeah. And then what I don't do, or what I don't want to do, is just limit it to my story.
Right.
Which is why I have guests.
Right.
So I can welcome different perspectives and different walks of life, because everybody's journey isn't the same.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you're basically an open book.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You're very vulnerable. You let people in. And that's something that everyone, doesn't have the capability of doing.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Like, even for me, since I've decided to do it, there are certain things that I still have to edit, because there are certain people involved in the things that I go through that didn't sign up for this podcast life. Like my family, I purposely leave my family out of it.
Right.
Even though my family is a large role of the things that I've gone through, and the mentalities and the walls that I've built up. They're a large role. They play a large role in it.
Right.
But I don't include them in my podcast, because it's like, I signed up for this.
Right.
They didn't. So I got to figure out a way to tell my story without alienating them.
Right.
So,
the podcast has been therapeutic for you, I assume?
absolutely.
So, what's the general consensus from somebody like who has heard your story, heard your podcast, and they say, hey, I've been going through this, and, this helped me out to listen to this episode or that episode? Because what's been happening on here, we've been talking about mental health in the black community a lot lately. And just black people being willing, not all of us, but at least some of us are now willing to talk about it. Whereas in the past, it may have just been seen as, oh, that boy acting crazy, or that girl acting crazy.
Right.
Let me get the belt. Let me get the switch. When it may have, been much deeper than that. It could have been some type of mental health disorder.
Right.
But it wasn't being acknowledged. We didn't want to acknowledge that for so long. And I don't know if that was lack of education, or if that was just, our black parents trying to be stern and be disciplinaries in their households.
Right.
So, what's been the reception on that end with that?
Well, it's funny that you ask that. I actually have a few people who are working on videos, testimonials from their perspective of the Sunshine State and how they feel about it, what they think, and if it's impacted them and how. So the reception that I've gotten from it, just in those few videos and text messages, people are like, I didn't know you thought that way. Like, I didn't know that somebody else, like, it's always this kind of self-identifying. There's always this one line that they'll take out of a podcast, and they'll be like, oh, I feel that way too. Like, I had no clue. Like, I'm there too, or I do this too, or I feel that way too. And so it's always that self-identifying where it's just like, I'm not alone, you know? It's like, I have somebody who is here talking about all these things that I'm going through just like them. And they might not go through everything that I talk about on every podcast, but they have that one piece that is just like, wow, that's what I identify with. That's me. That's me in that part right there.
Right.
And so it's always uplifting. I have been told that I could be a bit more transparent, like, because there are days that I'm not doing well. There are days where I'm just like at my wit's end, and I'm regressing, and I'm back in that position where I'm just like, I'm worthless, everything's horrible, blah blah blah. And they're like, well, why don't you share those moments too? And I'm like, ooh, how, why? But it's pushing me to be able to get there, because they're right when they say that. Being able to share those super vulnerable moments where I'm falling apart is also helpful for somebody else too. Because I refuse to just stay there. I'm not gonna just stay there. So yeah.
So this is something we ask everybody. So where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now?
5 to 10 years from now. 5 to 10 years from now, I see myself much more well established in podcast land. I will probably be the feature podcast on Apple and any other outlet that I'm on. I will also have written music for commercial purposes. I will also be on a team that is either nominated for or won a Grammy. And I will also have a 12-year-old daughter, 11 or 12-year-old daughter, and she will be doing amazing as well. So, and possibly married, who knows?
I hope all those things come.
Me too.
That's great. Sounds
Good vision.
Great plan.
Good vision.
All right. So before we wrap it up,
Can we get a hot 16?
yeah, I want to just tell us a little bit more about the Second Nature Band.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
how did that all come about? How did how did you get, a part of it? That kind of stuff.
Well, the Second Nature Band was established when I became a part of it. It was established by some local musicians, Dwayne Bradford, Adam Brown, if I'm not mistaken, James, I can't remember his last name, but and a few other people. They started the band, and it was basically a bunch of instrumentalists who were also writers, who wrote music and had vocalists come in and sing the songs that they had written, and vice versa. They would also bring their own music in as well, and so that was cool. But they did every year they did the Gospel Fest out in Washington Park.
Yeah.
And so they were always invited to do, I think the side stage where all the local acts were.
Right.
And so one year, a friend of mine, Clementine Bassett, who's with FU, the group Forever Undefined, she invited me to sing backgrounds with her because they needed another soprano. At that time, I could actually sing soprano. So she invited me, and we sang backgrounds for that. And we did that, and I did that the second year and the third year, and then it just kind of carried on from that. And then it went on from just doing the Gospel Fest to him actually, or us having a conversation and him figuring out that I actually write as well. And so he invited me for a writing session, and then we started writing together, and then we started also writing with another guy named Jarvell Bell. And so the three of us would write together. And then another guy came on, his name was Darius Lyles, or D. Lyles. And that's how we formed DJLS Music. So that's our writing team, which is the writing arm of the Second Nature Band.
Okay.
And that's just kind of how it started, and it's been going ever since.
Nice. So is there a project maybe coming? Or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then your EP, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to hold you to the EP.
Yeah. The project that's coming should be out by 2019. We actually just recorded our second music video called Rise. We did that, and that song is super powerful, and it's timely because it talks about us as a people being able to come together and just being able to be ourselves, be unified, be on point with one another. And so I like it. It's super dope, and it features local artist Sam Trump, so it's real dope.
All right. I think that about covers it.
I got one more quick question.
Okay.
I probably should have asked this earlier, but you said you were from California.
I am.
You went to school in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the country.
Yep.
How did you land in Chicago?
That's so funny. I actually had graduated from FAMU, and I moved to St. Petersburg, Florida, which is not as popping as you would think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not popping like that. So I moved there. I lived super close to the beach. I love the beach, but I was by myself all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I was always trying to make friends, and that just wasn't super successful because I feel like that's just where not where I was supposed to be. But I did spend a lot of time there alone because I did discover writing there, so it was great for that. Mm-hmm. But I had a job there for a distribution company, and I just got this degree, and my degree wasn't in working for a distribution company. Right. So I was like, the contract ended. Let me find something else to do. And my grandfather, I was talking to my grandfather because me and my grandfather, we have like this really close relationship. We talk periodically, like maybe every other week. Mm-hmm. And so we would be on the phone, and I told him about what happened, that, I ended the contract and all that good stuff. And so he was like, well, why don't you try Chicago? Your uncle is there. He has a church. Your uncle Charles just moved there, and he's got some IT job, and I think it would be a good move for you. They've got plenty of opportunities. Try it. So, push come to shove, I talked to my other uncle, who's a pastor of Rock of Ages, and we.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I was gonna tell her, like, you gotta unpack that a little bit. Let her know he's pretty known.
Oh yeah, well, Pastor Marvin Wiley is my uncle, Marvin Wiley, of Rock of Ages, and so. Didn't know that. Yeah, so when I actually moved here, moved in with him and his wife and family and all that, my auntie and all that kind of stuff. And then that's where I stayed when I first got here. So moved with them and then kind of went from there.
Nice.
All right. And what part of California are you from?
Los Angeles.
Like,
L.A.
Like L.A. or
South Central.
Woo! Oh.
116th off of Avalon.
That's the home. That's the crib.
No.
So we need you to be our travel guide when we go out there.
Oh, I know it.
You know where to go? You good? Okay.
He ain't gonna be lost the moment.
I went there, and I went to Crenshaw. And
okay.
All of that.
That's nice.
I got a homie that stay in Hawthorne. One out in Chino. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. I'm actually gonna be there during Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna have a good time. I'm actually gonna do some writing and some family time.
Cool.
So
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Before we wrap it up, anything else you want to ask?
No, that's it. Just everybody keep listening to Sunshine State. Check out For the Hunt with me and Tim and B and Will.
So now y'all are inspiring me to actually get on it and get into work and find some people.
In this scary story.
Yeah, man. Y'all got to audition, though, because y'all can't just be on there talking about some, and the woman said, let's go to the next page. No.
My reading skills are higher than third grade. So.
Right, yeah. Way higher.
Funny thing is, there are actually some people who read auditions like that.
Really?
I could believe it.
Yeah. Wow. Like, especially in voiceovers. It's so funny.
Wow.
I think that's more so nervousness.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not because they can't read.
Yeah.
It's just because they're like, oh my gosh, this is here.
I don't want to mess up these words.
This is this Dunkin' Donuts ad.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So, Sunshine, before we get out of here, can you go ahead and give the people your social media information, where they can find you at once again?
Absolutely. Again, I am Sunshine Wiley, the host and creator of the Sunshine State. I can be reached at www.sunshinestate.com. Again, that is sunshinestate.com. Sunshine is spelled with an O, state.com. And also, I can be reached on Facebook at Sunshine Wiley, Sunshine K. Wiley, to be exact. My page on Facebook for the podcast is The Sunshine State. On Instagram, I am at Sunshine State Vibes. And Twitter, just Sunshine Wiley. And I think that's everything.
All right. I think you got it covered. Okay. So this is another episode of Blvdave TV. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Old Man Logan.
Kid Gas Station P.
Sunshine B.
Sunshine Wiley, thank you for having me.
All right. I'll take it easy.
Have a good one.